tomatoes. So what I did first was put the whole tomato into a boiling water. Then I put it into a bowl over here that had ice in it, and that peeled the skin off pretty easily. And then I quartered them and put them in a pot. And now what I'm going to do is empty this pot because it's bigger and mash all the tomatoes up. So I have like kind of like a stewed tomato without any seasoning. It's only going to have salt, which is going to be a teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. So I'm just taking my potato masher and I'm going to mash up some of the tomatoes. Some of them I won't mash up, but this will give me enough juice to cover them. So in my pan here I have the jars sterilizing. I'm going to take those out and set them over here and then fill them up with some of the mashed and some of the quartered tomatoes. Once I take these out of the pot, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt to each jar and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice to each quart jar. Then I'm going to add the tomato mixture, seal them, and put them into a bath for 45 minutes. So I took the jars out of the water bath that cleaned the jars, and I'm just going to put in 1 teaspoon of salt into each jar. Okay, then I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of lemon juice into each. So since I can't hold the jar and pour the juice, just hopefully you get to see some of this. And the lemon juice, supposedly what it says is that it acts in case you have a low acid tomato, because tomatoes themselves are so acidic, but the newer ones, who knows? And since you can't tell if you have the old ones or the new ones, maybe, that lemon juice compensates for the acidity and helps to keep them. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to put some tomatoes in each jar. Okay, so I added the uncrushed tomatoes to the jar about halfway, and now I'm going to add some of the more crushed just because it has more juice in it to the other half of the jar. And I think it has to be a ½ inch from the top. So that's about a ½ inch from the top. I'm going to try and get a little more juice on there. And they sell things you can press down to get the air bubbles out. I'm just going to use a fork. So once I do that to all these jars, then I'm going to take these lids out. I wish I had one of those magnet thingies. Put it on the top, screw on the lids after I put those in the hot water, and then let all the jars stay in here for 45 minutes. Now I've got 7 quarts of tomatoes that are going to boil for 45 minutes. They've got a good inch over the top of them. And I had 2 that I didn't put in there. I'm going to put in the fridge and use these right away, or in the next week or so, week to 10 days. Then once they're done, I'm going to put a towel down on the countertop because you don't want to just set it on here. If this is tall, it's going to be cooler and we don't want it to crack. When they're done boiling, I'm going to raise this thing up and let them sit there and get used to the air temperature and then move them. With this gadget, pick them up out of the canner and move them. This is a lovely thing. To the towel, and they'll sit there overnight.